you doing?
I am wonderful, wonderful. I'm so happy that, like I said again, that you're taking the time out to speak with us. So I'm going to go right ahead and ask you a few questions. Yeah, I'm going to ask you a few questions so that our readers can kind of understand some of the things that you had to do to build up to the person that you are today. What do you love most about muscle building?
So many things. I mean, the list goes on. I think the most important thing for me is just how you feel and how it connects you with your body. You pretty much become in tune with your body when you start building muscle. And that's just not building muscle. It's like working out, period. You know, whether it's doing cardio or just weights or, you know, the combination of the two. And then the diet that goes along with it.
Okay. That was a lot of my other question was going to be further down the road regarding the dieting. What are some of the things you have to put into your body to maintain, or basically what does your workout as far as your nutrition and your supplement, what is that about?
See, in building muscle, for the most part, you have to consume the right amount of protein and carbs. So really, and of course fat, because a lot of people think you don't consume a lot of fats because you don't want to get fat, but it's healthy fat. So really what you want to do with your diet is try to break it down to where you're consuming the right amount of proteins, which protein helps you build muscle, and then the right amount of carbs, which carbs gives you energy so you can actually work out and train to build that muscle. So you need those two factors. So basically, really getting to know the amount of each of these micronutrients that you're consuming is what really helps you build muscle. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. You know, you really could just break it down into knowing the right types of protein and knowing the right type of carbs. And then, you know, your fats are in there too. So that's pretty much it. Those are the main three micronutrients that you have to worry about. All that other stuff doesn't really help you build that much muscle.
So what you're saying is, so it is possible to gain muscles while losing fat?
Well, and that's a tricky question because yes and no. And I say yes because a lot of times, let's take, for example, somebody who's pretty heavy already. Mm-hmm. Their muscle, usually once they start lifting, they're going to start shedding the fat, but they're not actually building any muscle. So what happens is they tend to look like they're doing both at the same time, but all they're really doing is shredding up the fat so the muscle underneath can actually show. So you really can't, you could do both at the same time, but I guess the real way to answer the question is yes and no.
Okay.
It depends on your body type.
Okay. So what does your
I know.
I'm sorry. What does your eating plan look like?
Good.
I'm sorry. What does your eating plan look like?
Well, I try to get at least 4 meals a day, which is not a lot, but I eat like small meals in between my regular meals. Mm-hmm. So, like, first things first in the morning, I get up, I have a granola bar, and I'll have a protein shake, which is a scoop of whey protein. And when I get to the office, I'll have a bowl of oatmeal, and it's a pretty decent-sized bowl. And I pour in 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, and I'll chop up a banana in that. And that typically holds me till lunchtime. Now, lunchtime is usually when I eat pretty much anything I want to. Mm-hmm. And you know, it depends. I mean, for most people, for me, I can get away with that because I know my body enough to know, okay, that's the one meal where I can kind of do whatever I want to do. Mm-hmm. So lunch, I kind of splurge, and I'll do, like, you know, I'll do Chinese food, I'll do Mexican, because we have a lot of restaurants in Houston, so, you know, I tend to splurge at lunchtime. Now, as soon as I get home, I'll do a bowl of almond milk with some Cheerios. It's like, yeah, so I'll do that like right before I go work out, which some people can't have. To me, that's a snack because for my body type, I mean, I'm like time, and then I'll have like a sweet potato. I'll usually do either some green beans, or I'll do some broccoli with the tilapia and then the sweet potato, and that's it.
Wow, you sound like you have it down pretty well. So since we have your eating plan down, what is your workout plan like?
That varies. Now, it depends on what I'm doing. And for right now, since I'm getting ready for my first ever competition,
yes,
I'm
that's
trying
wonderful.
yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, I'm trying to cut, and really what cutting is when bodybuilders have 2 seasons. So basically, we have the bulking season and the cutting season. You typically bulk like months before your show. And this is when, you tend to eat more. And what you're doing is you're consuming more carbohydrates and you're consuming more proteins in order to build as much muscle as possible. What happens in that phase is you tend to you put on a lot of fat with that muscle. But you're hoping that you put on enough muscle so that when you start your cut, which basically when you start cutting, a lot of times you don't change what you're actually doing in the gym, you change what you're eating. So when you start your cut, you're cutting, what you're really doing is cutting the amount of carbs that you take in while increasing your protein and also cutting your fats. So what you notice is with the same routine in the gym, you're still going to start losing weight because you're taking in less carbs, you're taking in less calories overall, okay, but you're also taking in less carbs, and then you're taking in more protein than you were when you were doing your bulk. So what eventually transpires is you start actually losing a lot of the fat, but you lose some muscle too, but you will retain more muscle as you lose the fat. And that way that's how you end up with the nice thick muscles with very low body fat.
Wow, sounds exciting. Now, you did mention you're going to compete in your first ever contest. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, see, it all started with, and it's funny because I've been watching like a whole bunch of videos about just training and weightlifting and, reading more about it and doing some more research about it. And I just felt like, I felt like I wanted to take it to another level. I just kind of see where it goes, kind of start putting things out there and kind of sharing what I enjoy doing, and hoping to help somebody else who's out there thinking about doing the same thing. So, I made a few videos and I started sharing a few of my pictures on Instagram, and it got the attention of quite a few people who suggested that I should try to compete. And I was like, you know what, that sounds like a good enough challenge. I'll take that on. And so I started, doing some more research and learning about how to actually diet for competition. Because competition is more about dieting than actually weight training, because a lot of people who are looking to compete are already in decent enough shape to where what sets you apart from the next man is how your conditioning, and how your symmetry, your it's just, it comes down to the finer points. Everybody's going to look good on stage. Mm-hmm. And what separates you from the next man is, the size of your symmetry from top to bottom. Do you have decent enough shoulders to match your calves? And it's almost like a pageant, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Which is what it really is.
Absolutely. But it's something good to look at, yes. And I think a lot of the ladies will agree once they view your photos that goes along with this article. Our readers would really appreciate what you just said. Kind. Yeah. And also, what keeps you motivated to stay in shape?
Wow. And I'm going to be really honest about this. Initially, it was the desire to get bigger. Mm-hmm. And it went from the desire to get bigger to now a desire to just be healthy. So it's changed with time, and obviously it's changed with age. Initially I just wanted to get big. I was 25, 26. I was like, I need to put on some size. I want to have muscle on. I want to have muscles on to be buff. And then as you start getting bigger and you start learning more about the whole bodybuilding and fitness, you start realizing, it's not all about getting big. It kind of teaches you to eat a certain way, and then you start learning other things. The whole lifestyle has really helped me learn a lot more about myself as an individual, and actually taking on a task and just facing it head on. It changes your whole approach to projects and things that you take on. There's always a start and there's always a finishing point, and there's always adjustments that you have to make along the way. That's absolutely how it is bodybuilding. And then also you have to be consistent. So I would say what keeps me motivated is results. I think results motivate us more than anything else. It's the one thing that when you actually what you put in, you see right away. You don't have to sit and wait and hope. It's like once you start putting in the work, you see the results.
Absolutely.
And nothing motivates us more than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I rambled off on that one, but
not at all. But because this is very interesting, because a lot of our readers are not even aware of what it takes to get into this part of the health and fitness world. So it's very, very interesting. As far as you really have to train, motivate your body. It's not only your body, but it's also your mind. So
it's a huge part of it is actually your mind. Mm-hmm. As much as you're working on your body, you're working on your mind too. And I'll give you a perfect example. As long as I've been working out, there's certain things that I don't do in the gym just because, mentally, I think, for example, this past week is the first time I've ever actually lifted 315 pounds on a bench press. I told myself all kinds of things just so that I wouldn't try doing that. I was like, you don't need to lift that much weight. That's unnecessary. You've gotten this far and you look this way. You never had to do that, so there's no reason to do it. That was just my way of convincing myself, or kind of telling myself mentally that I was justifying something that I was afraid to do. Mm-hmm. That's really what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And, as life would have it, I started going to the gym with my wife. Pushed me. And I actually got underneath the weight and I actually pushed it out an amazing 3 times. I shocked myself. Wow. I left there thinking, why have I been afraid of this for so long?
Absolutely. But that's progress. It shows progress and that confidence and knowing and learning your body. Now, what is one of the biggest myths that you encounter in the fitness industry? What do you think is the biggest myth that's out there?
Well, I will say the biggest myth is that genetics don't have a part to play. And, people just make it seem like, well, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And if you do this, that's what's going to happen. That's one of the biggest myths. And I think another really huge one is, there's a lot of sites and different things that convince you that you can achieve certain things in like little or no time. I would say that's by far the biggest, like making people feel like, well, you do this for 3 days, or you do this for a month, or you do this for, 1 week, and you look like this. Absolutely not. It's false. Mm-hmm. Everything you see there's been a lot of time, a lot of years, and people don't like to hear that. But the fact of the matter is people don't build physiques like you see on TV and in commercials in months. It's more like years. But most people don't like to hear that.
Yeah, so it takes time. You have to put the time in to get the results out.
You do have to put in the time.
Okay. Now, do you have any tips for someone who is